Please be seated. Good morning. I'm Rebecca White, Dean of the School of Law, and it is a sincere pleasure to welcome you to this graduation ceremony. This is a special day, not only for the class of 2013 and their families, but for the law school community as well. And I'm pleased that so many of you are here to share it with us. On behalf of the law school, I want to say thank you to those in the audience who have done so much to bring our graduates to this special day. Law school demands a lot, not only of its students, but from those who love them. After all, it takes more than academic ability to graduate from law school. It takes hard work, dedication, and money. Many of you in the audience have supported our students, emotionally and financially, before and during law school. Their success, in many ways, is your success as well. So let me take a moment to recognize those who have helped make this day possible. And I'll ask that you please hold your applause to the end. Would the spouses, fiancés, or partners of our graduates please stand and remain standing? Would the parents of our graduates please stand? Would the grandparents of our graduates please stand? In-laws, time for you to stand. Brothers, sisters, children, any other family members, please stand. Graduates, please give these folks a round of applause. This day belongs first and foremost to our graduates, so it is my honor to introduce the president of the third-year class, Jordan Arkin. Jordan earned her Bachelor's of Science in Corporate Communications from the University of Texas, where she was a member of Phi Beta Kappa and a UT College Scholar. She has served as a leader among her classmates, serving as 1L Section President, 2L Vice President, and finally as the 3L President. During law school, Jordan interned with 2 Superior Court judges and participated in the Corporate Counsel Externship Program, serving as an intern at the Gwinnett Medical Center. After taking the bar in July, Jordan hopes to pursue her legal career in Washington, D.C. Jordan.
Judge Martin, Dean White, Dean Kurtz, Dean Rollins, Professor Shipley, Professor Rodriguez, Mr. Morgan, distinguished faculty, family, friends, graduates, mom, dad, everyone else, good morning and welcome. Okay, I'm going to take this opportunity to be honest. We're all a little bummed that we're not on the North Campus quad right now. My nerves are out of control, as anticipated, and many of you are probably counting down the minutes until you can throw your hat in the air, go grab some lunch and an iced tea, or maybe something a bit stronger. I'm in the same boat, so I'll try to make this short and sweet. I'm going to keep this honesty thing going and let you know why I originally decided to attend Georgia Law. It all came down to one concept: getting the best value for my dollar. Okay, well, maybe there was an added perk. I also came here for some good old-fashioned SEC football. Go Dogs. I'm sure we all came here for different reasons, but one thing is for sure: every one of us is leaving with a first-class legal education from this state's prestigious flagship university. Since I have the mic, I'm going to share with y'all one of the now many reasons I'm proud to soon call myself a Georgia Law alumna. In January, I had the privilege to attend the Terry Business School's Leadership Speaker Series, where we heard from Senator Saxby Chambliss, the senior senator from Georgia, as well as Senator Mark Warner, a Democrat, junior senator from Virginia. Senator Warner shared some valuable words of wisdom that I wish to share with y'all today. He told us, "You can't do it alone." Senator Warner was not always in the public service. He spent years of his life prior to running for political office as a venture capitalist, investing in these things called cell phones. Maybe you've heard of them. And I'm glad to see that none of y'all have yours out right now. That's how I know I'm not boring you. Senator Warner's message to us was that his reliance on others was a major contributing factor to his success in private ventures as well as public service. About a year ago, Senator Warner teamed up with 5 other senators in Congress to form the Gang of 6. This bipartisan alliance had intentions to reform the budget and make real progress in Washington. And while bipartisan partnership is not yet the reality, it is up to our generation, the generation that will walk across the stage today, to embrace the concept of working together. And I agree with Senator Warner. We are undeniably stronger if we form partnerships. Working with others and forming alliances is not only beneficial, but necessary. There is strength in numbers. In fact, I cannot think of many success stories that do not involve partnerships. Steve Jobs had Steve Wozniak, Mark Zuckerberg had Eduardo Saverin, and Mark Rick had Jarvis Jones. Class of 2013, look around you. These individuals sitting beside you now, who have sat beside you in class, in the library, and yes, even in bar stools downtown, it is these people who are and will continue to be your partners. Just as Senator Warner has Senator Chambliss not only as an ally across the aisle while making tough decisions on reforming our budget, but also as a friend and confidant, each and every one of us will leave here with a network of partners, people they can not only call a colleague, but hopefully also a friend. Because honestly, that's what Georgia law is all about. It's about community. Georgia law is only one of many esteemed legal institutions in this country, but I would like to argue, which only seems natural because that's what we've been doing for the past 3 years, that Georgia law is unique in the following ways. And I'm going to give you a list because lawyers and law students alike love lists. Number 1, the partnerships that the faculty forms with students. The open door policies of faculty members who spend time outside the classroom answering questions and taking interest in their students' lives is not taken for granted. Despite their busy schedules, faculty members willingly dedicate their time to extracurricular programs. For example, in the last 5 years, Georgia Law's advocacy program has won 5 national titles, 11 regional crowns, and 5 state trophies. This impressive record could not have been accomplished without the collaboration of the committed faculty members and students who participate in these programs. Also, our generous faculty and Mike Robinson helped make the annual Equal Justice Foundation auction a huge success by donating auction items and serving as auctioneers. And I think that those who have attended the auction can agree that Professor Coonan and Professor Kurtz could both quit their day jobs and become successful auctioneers. Dean Kurtz, a new job on July 1st. And I could go on, but in short, I would like to take the time on the behalf of the class of 2013 to recognize our warm and supportive faculty. We know you have lives outside the doors of Hirsch Hall, but we appreciate you making time for us. Thank you. And number 2, students partnering with other students. To be honest, I was a little nervous about coming to law school, weren't we all? I had heard horror stories of classmates sabotaging their peers' research by hiding books or tearing out the pages. And I now realize two things. First, this must be a very old stereotype, because honestly, who still uses books? And second, these cutthroat tactics may happen at other schools, but I can confidently say they do not happen here. Instead, I've seen 2Ls and 3Ls mentoring 1Ls. I've seen students sharing advice about study skills, outlining, and preparing for class. I've seen 3Ls coach underclassmen to moot court victories. And I've seen a lot more, but I'm going to leave it at that for purposes of this speech. In the end, my nervousness about law school was unfounded, because we truly have a great community of students here at Georgia Law. And that's what I say now when people ask me why I attended this law school. In fact, I can't shut up about it. By the way, Dean Rollins, I'm available if you need a recruitment chair. Now it's time to thank the people who made this day possible, our loved ones, parents, grandparents, siblings, and significant others. It's not just our perseverance, but theirs too, that has allowed us to excel at UGA and to be here today. Today is just as much about them as it is about us graduates. And I want to extend special gratitude to my personal role models, my parents. After all, what stronger partnership is there than that of family members? To my father, who always reminds me of how much I mean to him, saving my voicemails, sending me flowers on Valentine's Day, and even running out on patience just to make sure I'm okay. And to my mother, proof that it is possible for a woman to have a successful career while raising a family. Honestly, sometimes I wonder if her days are 27 hours. But through all this hard work, delivering babies at all hours of the night, performing surgeries as the sun rises, she has never lost sight of what matters most, her family. And for that I am and forever will be grateful. Thank you, Mom. So now, class of 2013, we're going to leave here, and we're going to have to form another partnership. We're going to have to partner with the communities that we will soon become a part of. A little over a month ago, chaos broke out on the streets of Boston. First responders and civilians ran towards the blast instead of away from it. Runners, people who had just run 26 miles, kept running towards the hospital in order to donate blood. Law school has given us the tools to make real change, but it's up to us to run towards the problems in our community and not away from them. While many of us came to school with hopes of becoming a modern-day Gandhi or Madeleine Albright, we are leaving faced with the realities of billing hours, or, for some of us, having hours to bill. But despite the tough job market and our commitments both at work and in our personal lives, it is important for us to remember our civic and ethical duty to partner with our community. Many of us have already acted on this duty and contributed to the Athens community. Through participation in clinical programs, many students have already stepped foot in the courtroom. Whether representing a defendant charged with a misdemeanor or helping a victim of domestic abuse file a restraining order, these students have already made meaningful change in the lives of others. For many of us, taking on this ethical responsibility seems daunting. I know. And it may not be something that seems feasible at this juncture, but I hope we can all be motivated by the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., true humanitarian, who once said, "Make a career of humanity, Commit yourself to the noble struggle for equal rights. You will make a greater person of yourself, a greater nation of your country, and a finer world to live in. Okay, I promised short and sweet, so I'm going to wrap it up. It has truly been an honor to speak to all of you today, but it's been an even greater privilege to spend the past 3 years with my amazing classmates. Go Dogs! Shout out to Section Y, the best section. Thank you and congratulations, class of 2013. It is my honor to introduce the immediate past president of the University of Georgia Law School Alumni Association, Mr. J. Tom Morgan III. Mr. Morgan is a native of Albany, Georgia. After graduating from Albany Junior College, he received his undergraduate degree in accounting cum laude from the University of Georgia in 1977. And his law degree from the University of Georgia School of Law in 1980. Mr. Morgan brings over 30 years of extensive trial experience to the private practice that he established in Decatur in 2007. For 12 years, he served as district attorney of DeKalb County. He now specializes in criminal defense and general civil litigation and is licensed to practice law in Georgia and North Carolina. He enjoys the highest rating issued by Martindale-Hubbell Law Directory and has been recognized as a Georgia super lawyer in general litigation by his peers. Mr. Morgan is known for his competence, commitment, and passion in representing his clients. Prior to being elected district attorney in 1992, he served as an assistant district attorney in DeKalb County for 9 years and was the first prosecutor in Georgia to specialize in the prosecution of crimes against children. He prosecuted more than 500 cases involving children who have been sexually or physically abused or murdered. Nationally recognized as an expert on the prosecution of crimes against children, he has appeared on the Oprah Winfrey Show, The Today Show, CNN's Talk Back Live, Court TV, and 48 Hours, and he has been featured in People and Parenting magazines. In 1992, then Secretary of Health and Human Services, Donna Shalala, appointed Mr. Morgan to the U.S. Advisory Board on Child Abuse and Neglect. He also chaired Georgia's Child Abuse Prevention Panel. To further his commitment to educate young people and to help them avoid being both victims and perpetrators of crimes, Mr. Morgan has authored a book entitled Ignorance is No Defense, A Teenager's Guide to Georgia Law, and has also co-authored Ignorance is No Defense, A College Student's Guide to North Carolina Law. A father of two, Caroline and John, Mr. Morgan is married to Carol Ellis Morgan, who is on the faculty of UGA Law. Will you please join me and Kelsey Donnelly, as well as Dean White? On behalf of the class of 2013, we're presenting you with a legacy check for $61,975.
Thank you, Jordan. And for the record, Professor Morgan wants to make certain that you understand that we were law school students together and that she was not one of my professors in law school. I must say, however, if the truth be known, that if it had not been for Carol's assistance, I may not have been a graduate of this great institution. For those of you whose academic performance has not been as stellar as you would have hoped the past 3 years, just remember if it were not for students like us, there could not be a top 50% of the class. Congratulations to all of you, because in a few moments you are about to be members of an exclusive and prestigious organization, the Alumni Society of the University of Georgia. During the past 3 years, you have received the best legal education that money can buy. And that's not my humble opinion. Study after study has shown that students at this law school get more bang for their buck than anywhere else. However, though, not only have you, parents are happy about that too. However, not only have you been so privileged to receive the superb academic education, but under Dean White's leadership, you have been privileged enough to receive a practical education as well. When Beverly and Carol and I were students here at the law school, and yes, dinosaurs were still roaming the earth, we were told that we were taught to think like lawyers. However, we were not given the practical skills on how to be a lawyer. Today, UGA is at the forefront of teaching law students not only the academic skills necessary to be a lawyer, but the practical skills on the practice of law as well. However, probably the greatest advantage of receiving a diploma from this institution are the connections that you have with not only your classmates, but with all the law students who have gone before you. Wherever you go practicing your legal careers, you will find graduates from the University of Georgia School of Law. In fact, there are now more than 9,000 graduates of our law school. Let's just take an experiment right now. Will every member of the audience who is a graduate of the University of Georgia School of Law please stand for a moment? See, we're everywhere. It proves two things. Yes, our law school graduates are everywhere, and that lawyers breed lawyers. My first job offer came from a graduate of the University of Georgia School of Law. My first campaign contribution came from a graduate from the University of Georgia School of Law. And when there was a dark moment in my career when Carol and I had armed guards in our home, and I could not leave the house unless I was wearing a bulletproof vest or carrying a firearm, it was words of encouragement and words of courage from my former law school professors, such as Professor Paul Kurtz, and my former law school classmates that kept us going. However, I do remember an email from one of my classmates that said, "J. Tom, keep your head up, we got your back." Now, I wasn't exactly sure how a bond lawyer at King and Spalding who lived in Buckhead had my back in Decatur, but I appreciated the sentiment nonetheless. And then when I left public service and opened up my own law firm, it was a graduate of the University of Georgia School of Law who referred me my first client. And as you've heard, my first wife, my current wife, and my only wife is a graduate of the University of Georgia School of Law. However, please remember this. If after you graduate on the other side of the courtroom or the other side of the negotiation table or the other side of the mediation table, there is a University of Georgia Law School graduate, please do not think of that person as your enemy, but rather as your worthy adversary, because he or she is a graduate of the University of Georgia School of Law. And remember, for to whom much is given, much is expected. As you know, your law school education was only partially funded by your tuition and the taxpayers of the state of Georgia. We are a great law school because of the giving of our graduates. Year after year, graduates give back to their school. Now, we certainly understand that you're just starting your careers, and many of you are starting your careers with debt, but every gift counts. If you wait till you can afford to give that first gift, you will wait forever. Start giving now, and give as much as you can, when you can, because all of it is appreciated. So congratulations, and behalf on the Alumni Society of the University of Georgia School of Law, welcome to our ranks.
Good morning. My name is Paul Kurtz. I'm the Associate Dean for Academic and Student Affairs and Professor of Law. And Jordan, I am quitting my day job. This morning's ceremony is appropriately focused on the graduates who will receive their degrees. I truly wish each of you could see the view from here, all the smiles on the faces of parents, spouses, family, and friends who are gathered to celebrate the collective achievements of this extremely talented group of soon-to-be attorneys. But before turning to the joyful task of formally recognizing them, it is my honor to recognize and ask you to thank a group of dedicated men and women who have spent a great deal of time over 3 years helping the class of 2013 reach this day. I speak, of course, of the distinguished faculty of the University of Georgia School of Law, a group to which I have proudly belonged for exactly 38 years. These men and women have worked inside and outside the classroom to prepare this class for the law practice of the 21st century. Through such activities as formal instruction, supervision of papers, judging mock trial and moot court arguments, career advisement, recommendation letters, academic counseling, curriculum development, sponsorship of extracurricular activities, and encouragement through the sometime rocky path of the law school experience, the faculty has provided guidance and role modeling for the class of 2013. Speaking for the faculty, I can assure you that while we are very proud of our production in terms of books, articles, law reform, and other important items, we are at least as proud of the education that we provide these students and of the graduates we send into the legal profession. Just as we have been there for them during their time here, we are delighted to have a chance to be here for them this morning also. I'm exceedingly proud to ask my colleagues of the University of Georgia Law School faculty to stand and receive recognition and thanks. Now I'm pleased to introduce to you the Vice President of the Law School's class of 2013, Ms. Kelsey Page Donnelly. Ms. Donnelly is originally from Marietta, Georgia, and graduated from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill with a degree in business administration. After her first year of law school, she served as a summer intern for Justice Barbara Jackson of the North Carolina Supreme Court. Last summer, Ms. Donnelly worked as a summer associate for Kilpatrick Townsend in Atlanta, where she will return to work this fall in their corporate group. As a student at Georgia Law, Ms. Donnelly was an editor on the Georgia Journal of Intellectual Property Law, and also participated in the Student Bar Association as the Community Service Chair. As the 3L Vice President this year, she has assisted in leading fundraising efforts for the class of 2013 Law Legacy Campaign. Please welcome Kelsey Page Donnelly.
On behalf of the class of 2013, I am pleased to introduce the Honorable Beverly B. Martin, United States Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit. On January 20th, 2010, the United States Senate confirmed Beverly Martin to serve as a judge on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit. Prior to her joining the Court of Appeals, Judge Martin sat for nearly a decade as a United States District Judge for the Northern District of Georgia. Before she was appointed to the federal bench, Judge Martin served as United States Attorney for the Middle District of Georgia from 1997 to 2000, and as Assistant United States Attorney in the same office from 1994 to 1997. Judge Martin also represented the state of Georgia in various litigation matters between 1984 and 1994 as an Assistant Attorney General in Atlanta. She began her legal career in the private practice at the law firm of Martin & Snow in Macon, Georgia. Judge Martin graduated from the University of Georgia School of Law in 1981 and received her BA from Stetson University in 1976.
Thank you so much. Dean White, distinguished faculty, and most of all, the class of 2013 and your admiring families, thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of this wonderful day. The best thing that ever happened to me, maybe not the best, top 5 easily, is the day they told me I could come to law school here. So it's such a privilege for me to welcome you into the family of Georgia Law School graduates. And it's a remarkable family. You may know that this law school has produced 6 governors of the state of Georgia, 18 justices on the Georgia Supreme Court, 3 attorneys general of the state of Georgia, 6 United States senators, 28 members of the United States House of Representatives. More than half of the active federal judges in the state of Georgia are graduates of this law school. I think I see one back there. And the state trial and appellate benches are so populated with Georgia graduates, I couldn't even count them all. Now you will go on to populate these same positions, and this is such a good thing because you're graduating now at a time when we need your leadership in government, in our communities, and in our businesses. Now I know that it's a tough time, but I will tell you that in 1981, when I graduated, I heard all the same stuff you hear. There are too many lawyers, not enough good jobs, the profession's in decline, we need to redo the model. So when I heard these things, I went to my father, who's a lawyer, and talked to him about it. And he said, Beverly, honey, there's always room for one more good lawyer. And I know that you're good lawyers. I know because when you arrived here, every single one of you had better credentials than I did when I arrived to go to law school here. I also know that you're good because I've seen you in court. Just recently, I was sitting on a panel of our court, United States Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit, and one of your classmates, Rory Weeks, argued a case and did tremendously well. There is no lawyer who could have done a better job for his client than did Mr. Weeks. And my law clerks wanted me to tell you that we see a lot of hotshot appellate lawyers and none of them have anything on Mr. Weeks. Now, all of you will go on to honor this institution in your own way, but I thought it was important for you to know that Mr. Weeks got you off to a good start. Now, this family that I was telling you about, I want to take the few minutes that I have with you this morning to introduce you to some of your fellow graduates of this law school and to pass along to you some of the wisdom that I've seen from them. They know how to be a good lawyer. First, I learned a very important lesson about the time when I was at your stage. There was a student in the class ahead of me. His name is Russell Carter, and he said, Beverly, the first year that I graduated from law school, I made $19,000. He said, I thought that was fabulous because it was $19,000 more than I had made the year before. Now, many of you know who Russell Carter is. He went on to do entertainment law. He probably wouldn't like me calling it that. But he loved music. He wanted to represent musicians, and he's done so very successfully. He has represented artists like Widespread Panic, the Indigo Girls, the Black Crows, and he, together with Bertus Downs, who also graduated from this law school, represented REM over the years. So I think Russell had the right idea that it's better to make $19,000 more this year than you did last year. The second lesson I wanted to share with you was taught to me more recently by a graduate of this law school in 2006. His name is Mike Kaplan. I met Mike Kaplan when he clerked for the Honorable Richard Story, who is a United States District Judge in the Northern District of Georgia, also a University of Georgia Law School graduate. And when Mr. Kaplan was leaving his clerkship, he told me that he would be willing to take some appointed cases. Not long after he left, I came across a case. It had been filed by an inmate in the Chattooga County Jail. The inmate's name was Mr. Atkinson. And Mr. Atkinson was disabled. He was confined to a wheelchair, and he was having difficulties with personal hygiene because he couldn't get his wheelchair where he needed to go to take care of himself. I looked at the pleadings, and there was no dispute about the fact that the Chattooga County Jail was not in compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act. So I knew that the case was going to proceed and that Mr. Atkinson needed a lawyer. I called Mike Kaplan and asked him if he would represent Mr. Atkinson. He eagerly agreed. But what I didn't know at the time was that the first deposition that Mr. Kaplan had ever taken in his life was the deposition of the medical doctor who had treated Mr. Atkinson as a part of the jail. Mike said he didn't really know what he was doing, but he studied up, figured out what he needed to learn from the doctor, and he, by God, went in and took the deposition. He said it wasn't pretty, but he got what he needed. And the second deposition he ever took in his life was of the nurse who had treated Mr. Atkinson in the jail. He said that went a little bit better. Well, I didn't know any of that, but what I did know was that not very long after Mr. Kaplan took the case, I was presented with a consent order agreed to by Mr. Atkinson and Chattooga County, whereby they were going to do some construction and bring the Chattooga County Jail into compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act. So Mr. Kaplan taught me that you should take every opportunity you have to hone your skills as a lawyer and learn your craft, no matter how humble those opportunities might be. And I know that Mr. Kaplan has continued to take these opportunities when pro bono situations have presented themselves, because I heard recently that he was awarded the first ever Gideon's Promise Award by the Southern Center for Human Rights in Atlanta. The third lesson I wanted to share with you was taught by another Georgia graduate, Mr. John Fortuna, who graduated from this law school in 2005. It was the same type of thing. I had a party to a lawsuit that needed counsel. This was a man named Shade Lawal, who was Nigerian. He was trying to stay in the country, but the Board of Immigration's appeal had ruled against him, and he was set to be removed from the country. There was an interesting issue in Mr. Lawal's case, so I asked Mr. Fortuna if he would take the case and thought maybe he would have an oral argument in the case. Unfortunately, our court decided the issue that was outstanding in Mr. Lawal's case in another case before Mr. Fortuna could argue Mr. Lawal's case. That may sound familiar to Mr. Weeks. In any event, Mr. Fortuna struggled with this because there was this outstanding opinion. He didn't really know how to approach it. And one day he called me and he said, you know what, there was a dissenting opinion in that opinion, and it's right, and it's the only way that Mr. Lawal's going to win his case. So my instinct tells me to argue the law as reasoned in the dissenting opinion. Well, I didn't say anything, but I didn't think that was a particularly winning strategy. But John is a very diligent lawyer. He felt very sure about it, so that's what he did. About 3 months later, I got an exuberant call from Mr. Fortuna. He had won his case, and he was rushing back to his office to make a very happy call to Nigeria, to Mr. Lawal. Now, if Mr. Fortuna had not trusted his instincts, if he had asked me what I thought he should have done, he would have done the wrong thing. He would have lost his case, and the phone call to Nigeria wouldn't have been nearly as happy one. The fourth lesson I have learned from watching my brothers and sisters who graduated from this law school is that when you are presented with an opportunity to serve the public, it'll make you a better lawyer. I know there are a number of you in the audience today. I saw my friend Donnie Dixon, father of Harry Dixon, who's here today, who served with much distinction as the United States Attorney in the Southern District of Georgia for many years, and now back in private practice. But I wanted to talk to you about another one of our graduates who's done this to a remarkable extent, and that's Valerie Caproni. I spoke with Valerie, who graduated from the University of Georgia in 1979, I believe. She left here, went into private practice in New York, Cravath, Swain, and Moore. She left there, she became an assistant United States attorney. Then she went into private practice as a criminal defense lawyer. But what I wanted to talk to Valerie about was the 8 years that she spent as general counsel to the Federal Bureau of Investigation. When I talked to Valerie, I was lamenting with her, trying to draw her out about how hard the job must have been, because we all know that when disaster strikes our country, the FBI is called on, and there's no way to predict when that's going to be. So I was drawing her out about how she could have had no personal life during that time and how she must have suffered, and she cut me off. I'm paraphrasing, but she said, "Now, Beverly, it was important. When there's a disaster in this country, the people of this country have the right to have the FBI involved and to have the FBI get it exactly right. And the only way that's going to happen is if good people devote themselves to doing that job." Now, I know that the 8 years that Valerie spent doing that job made her a better lawyer, and I'm quite sure I'm not the only one who recognizes that, because Ms. Caproni is currently nominated to serve on the United States District Court in the Southern District of New York, and she'll bring great honor on all of us when she's confirmed to that position. The fifth of our brothers and sisters that I wanted to introduce you to, you may know, and that's Governor Roy Barnes, who graduated from this law school in 1972. I call him governor, he's not still governor. But Roy Barnes is passionate about serving those less fortunate, and he's exuberant as only he can be. When I talked to him, he said, "Beverly, I was the first person in my family to go to college. When I left the farm and came to Athens to go to undergraduate, it was the first time I'd ever been to Athens." He said, "But that law school gave me the greatest gift." He said, "Beverly, real people come to see me in my law firm." He said, "And they come to see me because they're facing the greatest tragedy that they've ever known. And the gift that this law school gave me was that I can look to them and say, 'Don't you worry about this anymore, I'm going to take care of it.'" I know you know that he was the governor of the state of Georgia, and some of you may also know that when he left the governor's mansion, he went to work for Atlanta Legal Aid as a volunteer lawyer for 6 months. And he talks with great affection for his clients from Atlanta Legal Aid. And he told me the story of Alfreda Webb, who he's written about. And there's a longer version, but the short version is that she was cheated when she bought a much-needed used car. Ms. Webb fended for herself. She went to a small claims court and told her story, and the judge awarded her $7,000. In that court, the losing party had an automatic right to demand a jury trial and a do-over, and that's what happened. So Roy Barnes met Alfreda Webb when she came to Atlanta Legal Aid to get somebody to help her with this jury trial. And perhaps you enjoy it as much as I do, thinking about Ms. Webb showing up for her jury trial with Roy Barnes in tow and him starting to strike the jury. The jurisdictional limit of the court was $15,000, and the case was settled very quickly for that amount. Well, I'm going to leave you now, but I wanted to remind you of the great heritage that you take with you today. All of the lawyers that I talked to in preparation for today are thrilled and excited about you joining our family of Georgia Law School graduates. And for me, one of my great pleasures of growing old in this profession is to see the good lawyers from the class of 2013 in my courtroom and in leadership positions in this state and in the country. Congratulations, and thank you for having me.
Thank you, Judge Martin, for your remarks. It really has been an honor to have you with us for our commencement ceremony. I also want to note that Judge Steve Jones, who is president of the University of Georgia's Alumni Association, is here today. Thank you, Judge Jones, for being here for the law school. We appreciate it. I now want to take a moment to explain how our ceremony will proceed. We have with us today, in addition to our JD candidates, candidates for the Masters of Law degrees. These candidates, whose degrees are conferred by the graduate school at a university-wide ceremony, will be introduced this morning by our Associate Dean, Paul Kurtz. Associate Dean Kurtz will then introduce our faculty marshals. After that, our JD candidates will have their degrees conferred by President Adams. The honorary marshals will call the names for the class of 2013, and the graduates will cross the stage as their names are called. Following the conferring of the degrees and the recessional, we invite you to have picture taking at the back of the Coliseum. And I'll now ask Associate Dean Kurtz to step forward to introduce the Masters of Law's candidates. As he does so, please join me in a round of applause for the country's longest-serving law school Associate Dean for Academic Affairs, Paul Mighty Fine Kurtz, who is retiring at the end of June.
That's what the M stands for. Thank you, Dean White. It's now my pleasure to introduce the candidates for the LLM degree. Sven Bosing. Felipe Forte Cobo. Sabera Sultana. Hangjuan Chao. Chin Chin Chu. The LLM candidates from the class of 2013. As Dean White has explained, we're about to confer degrees. Dr. Adams is about to confer degrees, but before that, it's my pleasure to introduce the class marshals. Each year, 2 members of the law school community are selected by the class, by the graduating class, to serve as marshals. The honor of selection is great, and the function, very important. They are the people who will read the graduates' names as they come forth to receive congratulations from Dean White. I'm especially pleased this morning to introduce two dear friends and faculty colleagues. I introduce them in the order in which they are going to be reading the names. First, Associate Professor Usha Rodriguez. Usha Rodriguez joined the University of Georgia School of Law faculty in the fall of 2005 and teaches courses in contracts, business associations, and business ethics. Professor Rodriguez earned her bachelor's degree summa cum laude from Georgetown University, her master's degree in comparative literature summa cum laude from the University of Wisconsin, and her Juris Doctor from the University of Virginia, where she served as editor-in-chief of the Virginia Law Review and was inducted into the Order of the Coif, the law school version of Phi Beta Kappa. Upon graduation, she served as a judicial law clerk to Judge Thomas L. Ambrose of the United States Court of Appeals for the Third Circuit. Prior to her entry into academia here at Georgia, Professor Rodriguez was a corporate associate with Wilson, Sonsini, Goodrich, and Rosati in Reston, Virginia, where she specialized in corporate law and technology transactions. Professor Rodriguez's scholarly interests lie in corporate law, corporate governance, and corporate legal history. She's the author of From Loyalty to Conflict, Addressing Fiduciary Duty at the Officer Level in the Florida Law Review, The Fetishization of Independence in the Journal of Corporate Law, The Seductive Comparison of Shareholder and Civic Democracy in the Washington and Lee Law Review, and Let the Money Do the Governing in the Stanford Journal of Law, Business, and Finance. She has also published articles in the Virginia Law Review, the Minnesota Law Review, and the Emory Law Journal. She also blogs for the Conglomerate, and she served as the reporter for the American Bar Association Special Task Force on the impact of the Troubled Asset Relief Program on corporate governance. Professor Rodriguez is also an avid runner, and she and her husband, Nathan Flath, are the parents of 3 children. Professor David E. Shipley. Professor Shipley earned his undergraduate degree in history with highest honors from Oberlin College and his law degree from the University of Chicago, where he was executive editor of the University of Chicago Law Review. His teaching focuses on civil procedure, copyright, and administrative law. Professor Shipley became dean of the University of Georgia Law School in 1998 after deanships of the law schools at the University of Mississippi and the University of Kentucky. During his tenure as our dean, he led the law school through the completion of a strategic planning process. He spearheaded a $3.2 million renovation of the law school's classrooms and the law library's Carl E. Sanders Reading Room, and also oversaw the establishment of 3 successful new clinics and a successful ABA accreditation inspection. Since stepping down in 2003 from the deanship, Professor Shipley helped establish and administer the law school's semester abroad program at Oxford University in England and served as the program's professor in residence in 2007. He served for 2 years as the chair of the campus-wide compliance team for the university's recent successful reaffirmation of reaccreditation by the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools. He is the university's faculty athletics representative to the National Collegiate Athletic Association, making him part of the administrative team responsible for ensuring the academic success of student athletes and the university's compliance with NCAA rules and regulations. In 2012, Dean Shipley was named the Georgia Athletic Association Professor of Law. Professor Shipley is a 3-time recipient of the law school's John O'Byrne Award for furthering student-faculty relations. He and his wife, Jenny Coleman, are the proud parents of Shannon Shipley, a 2006 graduate of the law school. Before I turn the ceremony to Dr. Adams and Dean White, let me address the class of 2013 very briefly one last time. Remember, I'm sure each of you understands and has a sense that when you leave us, you take us with you. I want to affirm that and also remind you that each of you, as you leave part of you here. Please come back, remember your school. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean Kurtz. On behalf of the law school, I'd like to say a few words to our students and soon-to-be graduates. It is often said that law school is a life-changing experience, and I believe that is true. Law school does change the way you see and think about the world around you. I have little doubt that you are a more analytical thinker than when you entered law school. Law school trains you to better see shades of gray. It also provides you the tools you need to help transform the world around you. People will listen to you more closely and will be guided by you because you are a lawyer. Your legal training and your license to practice law allow you to accomplish things others simply cannot. That is an awesome responsibility. As a member of the law faculty, I can think of no greater privilege than to have had a role in shaping the lawyers you will become. I can promise you that the hard work you put into law school will stand you in good stead after you leave here. It is our wish for you that your continued hard work will result in both professional and personal satisfaction. We are proud of the law students you were and of the lawyers you soon will be. Also know and remember that when you leave here, you carry our hopes and reputation with you. The lawyers you become and the imprint you make on the legal profession and on the local, national, and international landscapes in which you practice are part of our legacy as well. I believe that the University of Georgia School of Law has done well by you, and I am confident that you will do well by us. It is now my pleasure to ask President Adams to join me at the podium. As many of you know, Dr. Adams will be stepping down as president at the end of June, and this is his last graduation ceremony on behalf of the University of Georgia. His presidency of this university has been nothing short of transformative. Importantly, his support of this law school has been transformative as well, allowing us to flourish even in these challenging economic times. So I am pleased to be able to say thank you to Dr. Adams in this very public way for all he has done for our law school and for our university. And Mary Adams, thank you so much for being here as well. Dr. Adams? On behalf of the faculty, it is my pleasure, Dr. Adams, to introduce to you the candidates for the degree Juris Doctor.
Will the class please rise? As a proud parent of a son and a daughter-in-law from this great law school, and certainly this morning as president of the University of Georgia, by the authority vested in me by the University System of Georgia Board of Regents, it is now my great pleasure to confer upon you the degree Juris Doctor, with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities thereto appertaining. Congratulations. All of you, except those of you in the front row, may be seated, and you will be conducted to the stage in proper order.
Mahdi M. Abdurrahman. Kira Lynn Abernathy. Vasu Abhiraman. Lauren Marie Allen. Victor Philip Aloisio III. Donish Amin. Ellen Frances Andrews. Christina Marie Antalis. Jordan Danielle Arkin. Charles Albert Arnold. Russell Tyler Ashcraft. Robert L. Astorino. Brian Joseph Atkinson. Alessandra Christina Backus. Hyun Cho Back. Amina T. Bakari. Justin McCain Bargeron. Aaron Michael Bartelt. David Richard Bartholomew. Walker William Beard. James Ryan Beasley. Joseph Stephen Bennett III. Julia Larson Black. Kelly Amanda Blair. Kristen Elizabeth Bollinger. Richard Roger Borman, Jr. Lucas Drayton Bradley. Graham Keith Brantley. Maria Paula Briseño. James Matthew Brigman. Albin Emerson Brooke II. Zebulon Bowen Brookshire. Lindsay Austin Buckner. Christy Kathleen Bice. Emma Caitlin Birch. Ian Patrick Calhoun. Brittany Michelle Cambry. Christopher Ryan Campbell. Laura Scott Candler. Carrie Waiting Cow. Benjamin Harris Carter. Brandon Michael Chappell. Tina Chang. Christy Nare Choi. Christina Chow. Aaron Grant Christensen. Brad Allen Shanaweth, Philip Earl Clark, Craig Kolsky, Ava Joy Conger, Jessica Marie Conrad, Emily Ann Cook, Thomas Graham Cotton, Benicia V.E. Craig, Benjamin Thomas Kramer, Katie Ann Krogan, Thomas Roy Crouch, William Clement Cullens, Max Zachary Chuper, Austin Michael Daly, Vanessa Avion David, Emily Diane Davison, Timothy Franklin Johnson Dean, Tyler Austin Dillard, Brandon D. Dixon, Harry Donovan Dixon III, Jasmine Ashley Dixon, John Thomas Dixon, Burke Olivia Doherty, Kelsey Paige Donnelly, Stuart Lee Douglas, Daniel Lee Dresselhaus, Neka Alicia Egwatu, Marguerite Claire Ellis, Elliot Matthew Engstrom, John Andrew Eunice, Nicholas Shelton Evans, Lauren Alicia Farmer, Nicholas John Fell, Corey Elizabeth Flake, Amanda C. Floyd, Crisp Bradley Flint Jr., Brian Alexander Fox, Erica Ann Furlong, Ross Kaplan Gordon, Brandon Ray Gossett, Michael Coleman Gretchen, Robert Douglas Greist, Aaron M. Griffith, Robert Thomas Grew, Natalie Ann Hall, Joshua Lee Harbor, Jacob N. Harcrow. James Bradley Harris. Charlene Angela Harrison. Sarah Ashraf Hassan. Barclay Sutton Hendricks. Nate Hill. Carrie Elise Hip. Timothy Joseph Holdsworth. Nicholas Helms Howell. Hanyun Huang. John Alden Hubert. Julie Marie Hudgens Haney. Robert Newton Hunziker, Jr. Matthew Charles Hutchins. Brian Lewis Jackson. Robert William Jakes. Jill Hollingsworth Jenkins. Oops. Crystal Marissa Johnson. Doyle Lewis Johnson. Alex Morgan Joseph.
Corbin Robert Kennelly. William Robert Keys. Kada Thomas Kilgore IV. Alexander Scott King. Matthew Edward Kirk. Christopher Adam Knappich. Robert Marshall Cutchy. Brian E. Lake. Lanisha Chandra Lamar. Matthew Gerard Leipold. Benjamin Zachary Levy. Cameron Houston Lewis. Houston? Sorry. Alex Megan Little. Stephen Barrett Wasson Lyle. Tawny Danielle Mack. Mark E. Magaro. Michael Victor Manino. Abby Rebecca Martin. David Latimer Martin. Mary Elizabeth Martinez. Andrew Joseph Masick. Victoria Skipper Matthias. William Norton Maxwell. Scott Franklin McAfee. Colleen Victoria McCaffrey. Kayla Brooke McGee. James Allen McGeehee. Caroline Gray McGlamory. Margaret Brooke McGuffey. Ryan Jacob Metzler. Patrina Marie Mitchell. Timothy Lewis Mitchell. Daniel John Monahan. Aaron Robert Moody. Adrian Irene Moore. Matthew Donald Morelli. Michael Patrick Morrill. Terry Yusuf Morris. Lauren Elizabeth Mortimer. Jonathan Elliott Mosley. Molly Lucille Moyer. I-10 J. Musayeva. Eric B. Nelson. Savannah Lynn Nolan. Matthew V.H. Noller. Virginia Ann Norman. Daniel Joseph O'Connor. Daniel John Olds. Matthew Curtis Onyett. Rory James O'Sullivan. Emma Carol Page. Andrew Park. Jacqueline Michelle Payne. Christina J. Peterson. Alan Gregory Poole, Jr. Virginia Rose Pretty. Alan Frank Pryor. Thomas Oliver Pryor. Jonathan Allen Pyle. Catherine Jean Raz. Tiffany Janine Ragland. James Robert Reeves. Andrew D. Regan. Jacob Michael Reef. Jeffrey Michael Riley, Jr. John Walker Rick. Andrew Thomas Robinson. Michael Derek Robinson. Jan Margaret Hawkins Rogers. Laura Allison Rollins. Fraser Brockway Roll. Sajid Salim. Michael Edward Salter. Ryan Andrew Skates. Whitney Elizabeth Shirk. Amir Shahich. Mary Catherine Schaub. Lenny Spears Shoemaker. Robert Matthew Short. Amanda Elaine Simmons. Chandler Lanier Smith. Siobhan Tierra Smith. Christopher Stephen Smith. Marie Catherine Smith. Jonathan Samuel Snyderman. Philip John Spatalny. Emily Norcutt Standridge. John Warner Stapleton. Jocelyn Nicole Maynor Steele. Charlotte Elizabeth Stell. Jason Hughes Stuber. John Henry Tice. Jacqueline Glass Thomas. Michelle Therese Torslieri. Christopher Hallett von Rossum. Lauren Taylor Warbington. Brent David Wasser. Rory Allen Weeks. Alice Way. Joshua Miles Wiener. Brian Thurston Westbrook. Taylor Corder Westcott. Lauren Elise Wetherington. Jason Michael Whalen. Allison Kristen Will. Samuel Travis Wilmoth. Lauren Elena Wilson. Whitney Joe Wilson. Lawrence Sirkin Windsor. Susan Elizabeth Womack. Edward Michael Warman. Aaron Yolderman. Brittany Elaine Zwald. And Joseph Edward Lucas Zwick.
Congratulations, class of 2013.